Under the cool shade of this tree I rest as I feel the cold air come through the grass here, and I enjoy the trees that I've planted. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. There's a benefit of tall grass in your orchard and a disadvantage, and we'll cover each. First, I want to share the fact that there's very cool air coming out from under this grass. Grass cools the ground, helps retain moisture, and ultimately works like a condensation refrigeration system, which in hot climates creates cooler soil for your plants or trees to grow. Another thing about tall grass, especially when it starts reaching as high as the bottoms of your tree, is that deer will not spend time in the grass. They'll browse and move on, but they won't spend a lot of time on your trees. As you can see, there's damage both from when people used to string trim this. I've had to hire people to string trim it every so often when I was sick. And so you'll see the damage on the bottom is from string trimming, and then there's damage from scraping. When the grass is tall around the base of the tree, deers will not put their head down in order to scrape the tree. As you can see, there's very little damage on here other than what string trimmers have done, trying to get that little scrub. In a, I'm a little out of wind, so I may get the name wrong, Fukuroso's One Straw Revolution, he allows a lot of this tree to grow around here. Because what will happen is a deer will browse on this rather than browsing on the tree itself. Now, we do have some deer damage out on the tips of the tree, but the deer haven't gone into the tree to push it over or to browse the tops, and we're getting beautiful growth from these trees. Now, I was going to invest in fruit trees, but I didn't. I dug these up from someplace else on the property because I knew being so close to the road, the fruit wouldn't be as, I wouldn't feel as comfortable eating the fruit. So, but what I want you to understand is that tall grass around your trees helps cool the soil, helps absorption of nutrients and moisture. It protects the base of the trees from deer browse. You still might get some. And of course, if you don't properly manage it, you could end up with string trimmer damage. But grass like that also creates biomass. So periodically when you cut that, you can lay it out around the base of the tree as a natural mulch to feed the soil, prevent erosion, and serve. Now, what are the negatives? There is a negative. Your trees will grow much slower because the grass is stealing nutrients from the tree. So you just can't have grass. You've got to have grass and clover, or grass and alfalfa, grass and other things that are nitrogen fixing. Otherwise, what will happen is the grass will stunt the growth of the tree. Now, that's okay if you're trying to grow trees about this tall. If these were fruit trees, they're a perfect size. We don't want them to get too big. We would cut the grass before the fruiting season, layer that grass on the ground around it as a mulch, and then ultimately have a better fruit set and better insulation on the ground. Because just as the grass can cool the soil in the hot summer, layering the grass down like this in a mulch can warm the ground in a cold winter. So you see the grass as a resource. The grass is nature's way of healing. It's like a bandage for the soil. Rather than having bare soil, you have grass and clover mixtures. Now, when the tree is younger, the grass can cover the tree. The tree will still get enough to grow. It'll reach up out of the grass. It'll provide a natural protection for the small tree. But when the tree's taller like this, you can cut the grass more often because this little tip browse is not a big deal. So ideally, I would let the grass get waist high for these to keep the deer from putting their heads down and scraping the tree like they've done in this case. And they've also done on the tree up there. I keep the trees up there a little bit cleaner, and one of the trees actually got rubbed over completely. But grass as a resource, I'm gonna have to get back in the shade. Grass to filter the air, to capture dust and carbon from the atmosphere and put it in the soil, to act as a filter in your garden areas, to help regulate temperature and provide habitat. Grass can be a valuable resource. How you manage your trees matters. And in this case, these trees do have damage on them, but that damage was done during times, I think I put videos up about it, during times in which the grass was cut inappropriate to the season. So when the bucks were in a rut and they're out marking stuff and they're trying to get the fuzz off their antlers, the tall grass keeps them from sticking their head down, and they'll go focus on telephone poles or trees out in the woods rather than in a grassland area where they could be predated. So deer behavior-wise They don't tend to scratch the trees that have low growth. And then the low growth that we were allowing, that I do clip off every fall, that low growth is taking nutrients from the tree, but it's also protecting the tree while it's young. When the tree's older, it will not do that. And ultimately the tree will have a healthy root foundation because it is digging deeper in the soil to get to the nutrients. And because there's clover and other nitrogen fixing plants growing around it intermingled with the grass, the plant's going to stretch its roots farther, and the grass, it's going to synergistically run down the grass roots as well, giving us deeper roots for the tree and overall establishing the tree for a better life. Now, if you don't want to see unsightly grass, you don't like the idea of tall grass like this, then what you can do is called silvopasture, and you can use vegetative strips around your tree sets and your new trees. And then as the area matures, it'll actually shade out the grass. So the tree will tell you when the grass is not necessary, because the tree will have enough cover in order to shade out the grass, which will impede its growth, and then it won't grow as fast and it won't get as tall, and it's more easy to scythe down or to cut and use as a mulch. So again, I hope that's been useful. Grass-fed gardens is a powerful way to use a small amount of space and get a large amount of biomass to trap a lot of carbon in the soil, to regulate temperatures of that soil, to ultimately get your trees, especially fruit trees, to grow stronger and better. They're not going to grow faster, but they will grow stronger and better, put on more solid fruit sets. And these actually flower, so they're pretty. They'll flower a little bit. I think these are the ones. I think these flower periodically. Anyway, they're nice looking trees. They grew out this way because there's no side light to get a lot of side shoots. They don't side shoot, and we end up getting, as soon as they get above the grass, a nice canopy on them. So it's a very beneficial system. If you have questions about it, be sure to ask them in the comments below, or visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org. And I'm gonna stay squatted down here in this grass because I can feel that cool breeze coming through the grass. And it's just like, it's like air conditioning. But I will have to get up here soon, so I'll give it a little rest. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm glad you're interested in this kind of stuff. It is confusing to people because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So I hope you'll invest the time and effort to learn a broad science like your state level Master Naturalist program or a permaculture design program, because you'll start to see the synergy between plants in your growing spaces and how a diversity of plants is much more stable than having monocultures. So again, I'm feeling the wonderful breeze. Thanks for watching. Ask your questions in the comments below, or visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org, where we have coaching for your homestead. We have additional resources to help you start or maintain a homestead, and then ultimately more of the projects that we're working on to give practical examples on how to implement permaculture and organic farming techniques, natural farming techniques.